this may be something that if you're the director and the head of marketing, that you may need to go to the Okay, hi everyone. I'm Becky with Click Fluency and welcome to June's webinar. I am excited about getting together your Q3 plan. And this is really helpful because there's always a lot of talk around Q4, but Q3, you want to keep the momentum up. You want to also start getting prepared for Q4. So I'm going to share about that in today's webinar. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. There we go. Okay, hopefully everyone can see my slides. Like I said, I'm just going to go ahead and jump right in. So welcome, and let's talk about your Amazon action plan for third quarter, right? Like I said, fourth quarter is always discussed heavily, but right now is the time, and kind of a little bit on the later end, but it's still the time to be thinking about what you're going to be doing for the next quarter on Amazon specifically. Okay, let's talk about making it happen. So we're going to now create your Q3 action plan. And a huge part of this is going to be making sure that you write down your plan, right? If you have it all in your head and you have, like, there's a team of people that you work with, or even if it's a smaller team, but it's all in your head, that is the worst place to have it, no matter how amazing your memory is. There's just something about physically writing it down, or if you're more digital, making sure to type it all out, because if you don't have in writing of some form, then you're not going to remember necessarily the specifics. And I'm also going to talk a little bit more kind of about specific things you want to write down. So what are 3 key action items you want to start in Q3 for Amazon specifically? So as you're thinking about your marketing plan in general, if you're a director of marketing watching this, then you definitely are looking at more pieces than just Amazon. But for the purposes of this, I want you to think through Amazon specifically and those action items around Amazon specifically. How will that then tie into your overall marketing strategy? So many brands, obviously, you've probably got your own website as well. You may have things that are happening on social media. You may have things happening in physical retail stores. You may have things happening through distributors, all these different things. But I want you to think through how are these action items tying into that bigger marketing strategy that you're having for the quarter. What area of Amazon needs most of your focus for Q3? So this might help you if you're kind of struggling with thinking through those 3 action items that you want to start with. What is something that needs most focus? Is it your product listings? Is it advertising? Do you need more brand awareness? Do you want to increase the subscribers that you have on Amazon? Do you want new to brand customers on Amazon? What are areas that you really need a lot of focus? And that's going to help determine those key action items. So kind of jot down the top focus that you see for your brand on Amazon. Then think through, what can you allocate towards this initiative for third quarter? Keep in mind, your Amazon sales channel, just like any other of your brand marketing strategy, it's going to need an allocation of resources, time, budget, all these things within that you're going to have to allocate. So think through what can you allocate? This may be something that if you're the director and the head of marketing, that you may need to go to the CEO and you two may need to have a meeting, for instance, with your team as a whole. But go ahead and maybe, if you already have an idea, write what that kind of is. Then, this is important, I've said this before when we talk about creating a plan, who's going to be responsible for getting those action items taken care of in third quarter? Is it going to be you, if you're the head of marketing for the company? And then kind of a follow-up, I don't have this here, but do you have the bandwidth to actually execute on that? Because the last thing you want to do is think of all these great things to do, take them to the CEO, they say, yes, this looks great, let's go for it. And then at the end of the third quarter, you realize I didn't have enough time to do all that and all the other responsibilities I have, and you added way too much to your plate. And then you look like you kind of dropped the ball. You don't want that to happen, right? So who is responsible? Writing that down. It might be you, maybe someone else on your team. I think I'm going to talk about this later, or it could be having someone come alongside you to do those things for you, but you have to know who that's going to be. And then I think this is super important too. If you were to think through what would success look like for the end of third quarter, if this initiative is successful, what does success look like? I want you to think through that. Maybe it's an actual revenue number. Maybe it depends on your strategy, like what the action items you're going to do. Maybe it's a number of listings that are now optimized. Maybe it's a number of impressions that are made during third quarter with ads. Maybe it's a number of new customers to your brand on Amazon. What does success look like? And conversely, and I think this is almost just as important, and it kind of depends on your personality, I think, a little bit with this one, but what does failure look like? If you were to not achieve that goal, what does that look like? What does that look like for you, maybe even personally? As a professional, not as like a person for real, but like as a professional, what would that look like for you? And what would that look like for the company as well? And then how will those sales growth, how those growth of sales impact your brand as a whole? So if you were to achieve an additional X percentage of sales for third quarter, what would that then allow you as a company, as a brand, to be able to do in the future? How will that impact you? And that's, going to be a positive thing. What way will it impact you? Maybe it will help you to finally get that proof to get into a retailer that you've been trying to get into, because now you can show your proof of this is what has been selling on Amazon, because retailers do look at things like that. So figure out what would that help you as a brand as a whole. And this would extend beyond Amazon.